Hi, I'm Elton Sternfels, Director at Sansom. Tunnel is an artificial passage which is underneath of a building or underneath of a hill or underneath of a river, which provides the ability for something to be transported from one place to another without being outside. You become interested in things because they're different, or I do. Tunnels, they're a bit like a ship. They have a personality, they have a name, they have, they've got features, they're all independent. It's different than working in other buildings. You've got a whole lot of iterations, and that's a different day at work, and a lot of guys are in construction because of that. Sansom's been involved with many tunnels over the years. There's police tunnels, there's rail underpass tunnels, which are small little tunnels where you get a walkway under a rail track. They're really quite fun because you're building and finishing a tunnel in 2 to 3 weeks. Whereas we've been heavily involved in the CRL tunnel, which is 5-6 years from our first involvement to today, where we're still involved. Some of the earliest tunnels I've been in were out of the Bunua dam tunnels, doing remediation in those. I was on site for Victoria Park Tunnel, waterproofing that, and some of the early design on that as well. We've had some great projects with electrical tunnels too, underneath of vector substations, where you've actually got tunnels passing underneath of other existing tunnels and exiting up into buildings. Those ones are quite interesting. I particularly like visiting old tunnels. They've really got great character. Personally, my favourite tunnel is CRL tunnel because of the length and where I have been in my career and where Sansom was positioned to be for these works. We're involved in so many different sectors and so many different types of construction, and each time choosing the right membrane or the right solution for the right application with the trust of the build team was great. Usually about some isolated issue, like something's burst or there's been a crack in the wall, there's been some settlement that water is ingressing or the structure's deteriorating. The other side is the maintenance ongoing, which is like a programmed maintenance where you're in there every month at a certain date and time, because these assets are actually in use. Let's say you've got a train coming every 3 hours. You've literally got to wait for the fumes to clear 20 minutes, then you enter the tunnel and you get all your access ready, you have your health and safety meeting, and you get up and you do 35 minutes work, and then you pull everything down and move out, and then a train goes through, and then you repeat that all night because that's your only window of opportunity. Or there's assets like fixing water care tunnels. The process to get works approved in a water tunnel is, you have to have the water going somewhere else. New Zealand doesn't have contingency in its water supply that, hey, we're just going to divert the city's water supply for 3 months while you fix the tunnel. It simply can't happen. Some of the assets are so old that literally they're holding on. We're just maintaining them to keep them working. Most tunnels actually leak in some manner. Most of them have some structural defects in some manner. Even the new ones have some, despite best efforts of designers, constructors and people who are purchasing these assets, there's always something that's needing to be fixed. But not all tunnels are waterproofed. It's really to do with what's inside the tunnel. Some tunnels are actually waterproofed on the interior surface of the tunnel. Like a sewer tunnel isn't waterproof from the outside, it's waterproof from the inside to stop stuff falling out of it. Some tunnels are just built to leak, and that's into the design of the durability of the structure. Obviously, some road tunnels and rail tunnels, they're trying to get zero water in because of how it damages tracks or electrification, or in the case of road tunnels, you don't want the distraction of dripping water on a windscreen of a driver. Tunnels that people walk through that are between buildings must be 100% dry. We're involved with a building between a police station and a courthouse. Rather than spend the money on putting men into vans to drive across the road, they built a tunnel for people who are having their day in court to walk through and then go back to the holding cells. I think the lack of continuity of work in New Zealand really impacts the design, the build and the commissioning. In the rest of our building work, we work with guys who build high-rise formwork buildings all the time. Every 5 years they'll do a new one. Eventually there'll be a guy inside who's done 5 of them. We need more of those guys right through the industry. And another thing in tunnel design is the amount of different hands that it needs to pass through to get a design certified or something built, and a lot of those hands are looking at something completely new. And the reason that we know that is because we see new tunnels now with our labels on them from 15 years ago. Sometimes in those designs we'll push back and go, hey, perhaps this is not the right product, and the person will push back and go, no, that's what's specified. Yet we know that that product doesn't exist anymore, or that product has been phased out and is 3 generations old, but the person defending their design is coming from that's what we've done before. Right, we're in the front end of the industry where waterproofing design and repairs is evolving. Every year there's different products and better ways of doing things, smarter ways of doing things, because we're in a commercial environment. Tunnel design is not there. It's not cutting edge. A lot of the things we're doing, we're still doing the same as we did 50 years ago. Sansom's quite well positioned for remediation of tunnels because of our structural side with the concrete repairs, the waterproofing side, the tanking side, the seismic joints, and having a remedial capacity. We have all of those divisions here as part of our day-to-day business. We don't have a specific tunnel team because each one of the divisions, roofing, membranes, tanking, seismic, concrete repairs, all take their specialties down underground as required. I think we're called upon because we've been involved with so many now. I think the earliest tunnel that I know of that we were involved with a specification was probably 2005, 2006, and we still see our specification showing up in new tunnels now. CRL's a good example. We were consulted on every station building by someone in the design or the build team about, hey, is this the right path to be going down? We're happy for a designer to come to us and start the discussion about buildability, and perhaps they'll extract more information than they really have asked initially for. But that's okay. We're solution-focused company. We want the best for the structures that we're advising on. I think that the divisions that we have here at Sansom and the experience in all those divisions and all of them working in tunnels puts us right in a good place for being selected as a preferred contractor for involvement of design and build and remediation. So, I mean, the concrete repair guys, quite specialist area, have done a lot of work in tunnels. The tanking team in Sansom have done many thousands of meters of tunnel work. The seismic joint type guys are very experienced in underground joints. We're a platinum sponsor of the New Zealand Tunnelling Society. We were a member of the Australasian Tunnelling Society for many years. We think it's a good organisation to support because of the guys in there are like-minded, like Sansom. We enjoy tunnels. We think more tunnels should be built. They're a good option for the structure.